Usual. So we are now live. Hey everybody, this is Mike here at Crash Bushcraft. We've got Alan Hobbs with Freedom Bushcraft, and we also have Neil with Briargoatkilla.
Hey folks, how y'all doing today? Well, Mike finally got Briar in here, and we're gonna mainly.
I told him you was paying him though.
We was talking last week for everybody who was in here about getting Briar in here and talking about deer hunting, and the reason that I had picked him was because most of his videos have to do something with hunting or setting up camp for next year or preparing food plots for next year. For everything he does out there is basically about hunting from most of his videos. So we figured he'd be a #1 person to come in here and talk and give y'all some tips on any beginner deer hunters, and hopefully we can keep them in here long enough. We'll talk about starting out with Briar. At, say, this time of year right now, this is May. What do you do to prepare for next year, or what are you doing? What's the way to do it?
Well, I mean, right now, just like you said, my last video was just me planting my food plot. So the main thing is, it's different from public land and private land. I hunt all kind of, I hunt all kinds of land. I hunt a lot of public land, a lot of national forests, a lot of state forests, and then I also maintain a couple leased property tracts, private land tracts. And the private land is a game of, making your property more attractive to the deer than the next guy's place is, So our main thing is to just keep plenty of food out there for them. So we got feeders running full time. We got not tripod feeders, but 55-gallon drum feeders that feed corn year round. And then we got a couple of food plots on the one property here in western North Carolina in the mountains. We got a couple of half-acre to 1-acre food plots that we try to keep something planted for the deer in all year long.
When you're planting those food plots, what are you planting exactly?
Well, I mean, whatever grows during the specific season. Right now, we're planting. This time of year, it's finally warm enough to plant beans or whatever. But for me, I'm real budget minded, so I like to plant the cheapest thing I can find. And about the best thing that I've found lately here, and when I say lately, in the last 3 to 4 years, is we plant black oil sunflowers. And the black oil sunflowers are real cheap. We buy the bird seed, buy the 50-pound bag of bird seed. A 50-pound bag of like iron clay cowpeas or soybeans. That's one of the 2 of the big ones that people plant down south for deer. They're anywhere from $75 to $120 for 50 pounds. But the black oil sunflower seeds are $25 for 50 pounds. And they germinate just as good. They produce even more food pound for pound, and the deer eat them just as well. So that's the big thing we're doing. This is the 3rd year of black oil sunflowers, and the deer just love them. They hit them hard when they first sprout, and then once they get up, a foot or 2 tall, they just nip the little heads off of them, and everywhere they nip the head off, that plant will repair itself, and it'll grow. It'll come out with another bud right there. And if you break one of those buds off and break it open, it's got a real milky sap in there, and it's real sweet tasting. And man, the deer, they just love them. I'm telling you, they can't get enough of them.
And if you was to let them grow, like say, if didn't no deer eat them and they grew, would they grow into a big sunflower, or is it a small plant? Or is
the black oil sunflowers is a smaller. It's not the great big giant, pie plate size head like you plant in your garden.
Okay.
It's a smaller head, but yeah, they'll grow sunflower heads and make sunflower seeds. Yes, sir, absolutely.
Huh. That's pretty neat.
They grow about chest high if left unmolested.
Yeah.
And each plant will have 2 to 4 sunflowers on it.
Do you basically go out there and do that just one time a year, or are you going back out there several times during this year to plant more, or what?
It all depends on what the deer do. If the deer come in there and mow them, like a lot of times we got small fields, and we got a lot of deer, so a lot of times we'll plant them and they'll sprout, and almost in 2 or 3 weeks after they first sprout, they'll eat every one of them. And when I go back, and I'm going back actually this coming weekend, And if I go there and I could tell everything's germinated and everything's been eaten, then yeah, I'll go right to the feed store, buy me a couple more bags of sunflower seeds, disc up the ground again, and plant them again. But a lot of times, you know, I planted a lot of clover with those too, and so what I'm kind of hoping is that they'll hit the sunflowers real hard and let the clover establish, and then I'll have, you know, a clover field for the whole summer for the deer to kind of munch on. And then we always another way we mitigate that is keep plenty of corn out for the deer, plenty of salt blocks and things like that, you know. And this time of year, with spring coming out and everything turning green, they got a lot of natural food in the woods too. So
yeah,
hopefully we try to get as much as we can get out of it. But generally, I'll plant twice during the summer and then once in the fall. And I'll plant a cover crop in the fall: wheat, rye, you know, some kind of grain, oats, something like that.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. How much money would you say you spend on preparing before each season? How much money would you say you spend preparing?
It's quite expensive to do the play the private land game. It's pretty expensive. The lease itself is $2,000 a year. And you hear that and you think, oh my God, that's crazy. But if you get 4 or 5 dudes, now I leased that property up in North Carolina, that one that I make my videos on. I leased that one by myself. But if you get 4 or 5 dudes to throw in on it, it's not that bad. And then we probably spend another $1,000 a year on corn, and then probably another $500 a year on planting, you know, and then salt and then fuel and all that stuff. I mean, it's a big chunk of change for sure.
Yeah.
But it's more than just deer hunting for me. I mean, we got an off-grid cabin there.
Yeah.
We got solar lighting. We got, and I haven't showed all that. We got a gravity-fed water system. It doesn't come to the cabin, but we tap the spring, and we have you got to go down in the holler where the spring is, but we tap the spring. We got a pipe running into a 50-gallon drum there, and it's got an overflow on it, and it circulates all the time. So we got fresh spring water there all the time. We got it's just an awesome place to hike. It's surrounded by 1,400 acres of conservation land that nobody hunts on.
Didn't you show that on a video one time? That how you got that tap? Didn't you show that one time?
I don't think I did. I think I did. I just drank out of a spring or two on a couple videos, but yeah, we dug a hole and built a little dam, and out of hydraulic cement, and shoved a pipe through it, and it fills up behind that hydraulic cement dam, and then runs in the pipe, and then and fills up a basin for us. So it's a fairly simple but fairly sophisticated water system. So it's also our bug out's a real fantasy thing for me, but it is our bug out facility. It is the place that if something happened that we had to get away from everybody for a long time, if we thought we could make it there, that is definitely where we would go.
Huh. Yeah, I like the place. I see all your videos out there. It looks like a hell of a nice spot. We
got food storage. We got also a bomb-proof shelter there. I mean, it's nothing but OSB with a tin roof and a wood stove. But I mean, you could really make a stand right there with all the game, and all the wild edibles, and then you got these fields that you could easily plant things in. If you made it through a winter and made it to summertime, you could have a big garden in there. You'd have to guard it from the critters, but I mean, you could really make a long-term go at it. You really could.
I seen out here, and I showed on one of my videos before out here where when I used to camp on the other side of the bridge down here, there used to be a path I walked down, and I try to stay away from it on deer season because people hunt out there. But I went down there and seen a deer stand in a tree, and then in what would be considered like a little food plot, it looked like they dumped a whole dump truck load full of potatoes there. There's a big old pile of potatoes. I was thinking, wow, man, that's enough to feed the deer all winter right there.
yeah. I grow potatoes. I grow a good many potatoes in my garden down here at my house. And that's one thing I'll tell people, since you mentioned it. If I know that a lot of preparedness people watch your channel. If you're looking for a survival crop, potatoes is the one. I got potatoes in my basement right now that are edible that I harvested, last August. And they're still down there. We're still eating them. So I harvested enough potatoes to last my family all winter long on 4 rows of potatoes, 3 or 4 rows of potatoes that are 50 foot long. You know,
Golly.
and that's all the potatoes we could possibly eat all winter long. We eat a lot of rice, you know, too.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, it's more than just you talk about that expense, but it's more than just. I mean, it's almost like a second home for me. It's almost like a vacation home for me.
Yeah.
It's just a place where I can go do my thing. I can go do my bushcraft. I can go do my wild edibles. I can hunt. There's no fishing there. There's crawfish in the little creeks and stuff like that we catch sometimes. But it's just do my trapping. You know, I shoot doves and turkeys and deer and squirrels and rabbits and trap coons and possums. We got coyotes out the yin yang. You know, it's just an awesome place to have. You know.
Yeah.
And for an old poor boy, I mean, I'm never going to own a piece of property like that. So if I want to have one to operate on, you got to lease it, you know. And
I think leasing is a good way to go, though.
It is.
Especially like you said, if you don't have the funds to, you know, go out and pick up 2,000 or 3,000 acres somewhere, you can lease. Right. A friend of mine, he's got about 1,500 acres that he leases out, and he does it for corn, but he grows it. But it's mostly a hunting spot for him. That's mostly all he does.
Right. Yeah, I'd love to have more land. Our little place there, we call it the North Carolina Deer Lease. It's only 115 acres. But like I said,
only 115 acres.
Yeah, but like I said, there's almost 1,400 acres around it in a strip that goes around it on 3 sides. That's conservation land. That there's no hunting I mean, it's only like hiking and stuff like that. You know, there's no hunting or fishing allowed on it. So we're kind of in a sweet little spot right there. We draw those deer off all that conservation land onto our place too, and we've had some good hunts out there. I'll tell you.
Mike, are you reading all the comments?
I am.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I just now got to the comments. I see where everybody's saying, hey, glad all y'all could be here with us. Briar, one of the houses that we've been looking at to move into, if we get it, well, we're not going to try to get it now because the house is a piece of crap, but the place where it is would have been the perfect location. It sits right in the middle of Bladen Lake Forest. And so it's only 1 acre, but you figure I could go over either side of my land and be in the state forest, you know.
Yeah,
so for $25 a year, that'd be like all my land.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure Bladen Lakes is a draw hunt too. I'm pretty sure if you go on the Wildlife Department's website, there's a you know, you click on hunting and where to hunt, and then there's a button on the side that says special hunt opportunities.
Yeah.
And you can apply for these draw hunts. You know, you put in, it's like a $5 application fee, and then it's a raffle whether you draw it or not. I think they have limited draw archery hunts out there. And
I think they do too. And I know they got the bear hunting out there. They got the bear sanctuary too out there in Bladen Lake Forest. That's where them 2 guys, if you remember not too long ago, them 2 guys that had a fallout with the land owner, and the landowner happened to be a ex-state trooper, where they crossed off of Bladen Lakes Forest onto somebody else's property, which was the ex-state trooper, and he shot both of them.
Oh, Lord.
But they didn't die, though, and that wasn't that long ago, and there's a big fuss about it. But then I was reading all the comments in the Bladen Journal, and they were saying, one guy was saying that I know those 2 boys that he shot, and if I seen 2 big old boys like that coming at me, I'd shoot them too.
Yeah.
But they say they obviously knew this ex-state trooper, and you know, they were like not friends, they were more enemies. And I guess he told them to get off his land, and they probably told him it ain't your daggum land, and then a little tussle fell out. But I don't blame them. I wouldn't have stood there and fought with them either if I had a gun.
No, me neither. Me neither.
I did some hunting over there on Bladen Lakes Forest a couple of years ago. That's where I was hunting when I had a permit. But they do a whole bunch of dog running over there, and I hate that. You know, the dogs running all through the woods out there. They do that for the bear hunting too. They run the dogs for bear hunting too. Yeah, that's the only we can do coons and bears and of course rabbits, you know, and then like pointers for birds and stuff like that. But we can't hunt deer with dogs over here at all. Oh, really?
Yeah, and that ends about just west of Charlotte. From there on to the coast is dog, and it's the same way in South Carolina and Virginia and Georgia and all the upper, the upstate. What do you call it? The Piedmont and the mountains. There's no dog hunting, and down on the coastal plain, there's dog hunting, and it's just I think it's just a population difference, is what it is. They let them hunt them like that because there's so many more deer down there.
I tell you, if you come through here during dog season, it'll look like martial law in effect. There's so many people standing on the side of the road with rifles.
Yeah, that's how I grew up hunting. I grew up hunting. I grew up in the low state of South Carolina, and until I was 18 years old, that was deer hunting to me. I didn't know nothing else. You turned out a big pack of dogs on 100 acres, and you stood standers all the way around it 200 yards apart, and you ran the deer out and shot them with buckshot, when they ran by. It's fun hunting.
Yeah.
But I'm into the bow hunting now. I don't, I only killed one deer this past year, and it was with a rifle, but I was real busy with my new job and all, and just didn't get a chance to hunt like I wanted to. But and I did shoot one with a bow and couldn't find it. But yeah, I'm into the bow hunting now.
Man, I still had never killed a deer. I'm 47 years old now. I ain't never killed a deer. But I ain't been hunting that. Yeah, I ain't been hunting that much though. I spent most of my life in prison, and then the rest of my life not hunting.
Right. Well, you got a bow. I seen you in some videos a few years ago. He's out there shooting your bow. Yeah, you can get that thing dialed in, and we'll go for a bow hunt, man.
Yeah, I've been that one year I bought my permit, and I did hunt on the state property a lot that year, but I never saw nothing. And then this past season, I hunted just right here beside my house. I mean, we got deer come all up inside of my yard over here all the time. Right. And my brother keeps on getting mad at me. He's like, "You got all them deer over there. There ain't no reason why you ain't shot a deer yet." But, but it seems like every time I decide to hunt, the deer don't come around. So.
I know why.
Why, Mike?
Because you don't have a good spotlight and you're not up in the daytime.
Kill a deer with that new survival slingshot thing I got. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. I've thought 100 times about rigging me one of those things up with the heavy bands and trying to shoot a deer with it.
I seen something the other day, and I've not watched it yet, and I want to. But it's a handmade little slingshot bow that a guy, I don't know if he makes them or what, but they're made out of wood with a whisker. Not, what'd you call that thing again? It's a whisker biscuit. What'd you call it?
I don't know.
Whisker biscuit.
Yeah.
He calls it a whisker brisket. Say it again.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Whisker biscuit.
Yeah. But he's got one of those rigged up on the inside that he carved a circle out. And then he's got, I mean, it's just a little small. It's not, the whole thing is not this big.
Huh.
And
wow. That's pretty cool. I can't remember the first guy that came out with those. Wasn't Dave Canterbury. It was this guy named Chief something. Anyway, this Indian dude. He came up with that thing. That shooting an arrow at it. I mean, he probably didn't come up with. He was the first one to commercially market it.
Right.
And she is like Chief something. Anyway, from some Indian tribe. He sells them online. And
I was really impressed with him when I first seen Dave Canterbury doing it. I was thinking. From Dave Canterbury's first videos of shooting one with the little key ring in the middle, I was thinking, well, golly, he ain't standing nothing but 5 or 10 feet away from that haste bell. And I was thinking that, that means you'd have to be very close to a deer. But after I got this one, and I'm only using the 25-pound band right now, I was 20 yards away and hitting that target every time.
Right.
Then it was going through a 1/4-inch plywood, and I was like, golly, man.
Yep.
Quarter-inch plywood with a dull field tip. I know good and well a broadhead will go straight through a deer with it then.
Yeah, it probably would. It probably would. I got mine set up, and I've had it since he put the first videos out. Or since I didn't ever do the key ring thing. When I first saw him do the whisker biscuit, and I got 4 or 5 of them laying around, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna try that." And I did it, and it was you could definitely kill a deer with it. But for it to be legal for a traditional bow, I think it's got in North Carolina. I think it's got to be at least 40 pounds or something like that.
Yeah. And this one, they sent me the 45-pound band. I just haven't put it on yet because they got they got a quick change thing where you can just pull that top out and put another one in with a band already on it. And I want to do that. I want to get a quick change instead of having to pull the bands off and put a new band on. Just pull the whole head out. Is what I'd rather do.
Is the one that you have, is that the Pathfinder Pocket Hunter, or what is it?
No, this is a whole different you can go to survivalslingshot.com. They make it, but yeah, they don't have nothing to do with the Pathfinders.
I got you. I saw that Pathfinder Pocket Hunter in Walmart, and I didn't pull the trigger on it. I was like, man, I got one of these. I don't ever use it. I'd like to have it and, show it on a video or something, the Pathfinder Pocket Hunter system. But anyway, I just decided not to waste my money on it because I knew I wouldn't use it very often. But
well, I actually got mine for free. They're sponsoring my channel now. So, but if you was to go buy the one I got, if you was to go buy it off eBay, it's $129. And that's without all the accessories that they sent with it, like the flashlight and the laser beam. If you just buy the basic slingshot with the whisker biscuit, then that's $129 on eBay. I don't know what they sell it for on their site, but it's pretty awesome. And then it's got the hollow handle too, made out of aluminum alloy, hollow handle. You can fit a lot up in that handle too. But
it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool. It'd be nice. Even if you didn't try to hunt big game with it, even if you had like a small game trap line, just to carry it, just to if you got, because you don't have any firearms, do you?
No, other than an air rifle, no.
Yeah, and I don't have very many myself. It'd be nice to carry something like that. I mean, it'd be interesting. You could get all kind of different ways to get kills with that thing on video if you really wanted to.
I got a muzzle loader too.
Right. And but the bow fishing, I mean, with the river system like you have, I mean,
I've never seen no fish on top though.
Well, I mean, at night though, if you walk the banks at night, you should try it sometimes. Just walk the banks at night with a good stout headlamp.
Yeah.
And shine in the water. You'd be surprised because I know y'all got garfish. I know y'all got jackfish. I know y'all got catfish. And these things all come in the shallows at night to feed, in the rivers. I know you could probably see more fish than you thought if you walked around at night and shined the water a lot. I don't know.
I have seen the gar on top of the water, but I've only seen them on the Black River, which I know we got them in the South River too. The Black River is one I don't get on as much as I want to, but I have seen gar on top of the water there. Something I want to shoot at nighttime, and especially with this slingshot having that flashlight mounted on it. I want to try that out because that's real awesome there, having that flashlight mounted on it.
Well,
but,
and
I see a beaver comes down every time I'm out there. There's a beaver swimming around at nighttime.
That's what I was gonna say. The beavers and the muskrats and stuff. I mean, I never camped the night on the river without beavers swimming by me and splashing their tails at me and stuff.
Scare the heck out of you.
Another thing that I've done a lot is it's illegal, but I hunt rabbits at night with my traditional bows. I've never made a video on it because it's not legal. But you don't use a light. You use a light, but here's how you do it. You walk along in the dark, all right, and you can walk right up on them rabbits. And when you come up on one, he'll bounce over there about 10 feet and stop. You know, and then you hit your headlamp on and put your headlamp on the rabbit, and he'll sit right there for just a second, let you draw your bow and shoot him. And that's a great way to get rabbits. I mean, you can fill a sack full. If you got rabbits in the area, you could fill a sack full of them at night.
Yeah.
But just don't. I mean, if you walk around with the light, they'll see the light coming and they'll leave. Or they'll hide or whatever. But if you just walk along in the dark until you hear one skitter off, then turn your light on him, you can shoot him quick. I grew up hunting rabbits like that. It's a good way to hunt them.
That'd be cool. We got them all out here at nighttime. I let my dogs out to pee every night, and they'll go to chase the rabbit. And seems like the rabbit just toying with them. The rabbit just zigzags like it's laughing at them, like it knows they can't catch them.
Yeah. But I'll often watch your videos, and you're out there starving to death, and I'm like, and the first thing you say when you wake up in the morning was, I didn't hear. I heard a couple critters go by last night, but it was pretty quiet night. And I was like, man, I'd wake up and I'd be gnawing on a dang possum leg, because I would turn my flashlight on that son of a gun.
I have had a possum one time. I don't know if you remember that video, but I was in a hammock, and that was just one of them nylon hammocks, not my fancy hammock. I was laying there, and just laying there. I heard a whole bunch of. I was like, what the heck? And I turn over and shine my spotlight. There's a big old possum right under my hammock trying to get my food.
Yep. Yep.
I didn't try to eat them though. I was like, get out of here, you little bastard.
Yeah. But I can't tell you how many times I've in the winter time, or not in the winter time, but in the fall, be camping up in the national forest and shoot a rabbit or a coon or a possum at night with my bow, and I just be the same thing. I'll be sleeping in my tarp shelter and I'll hear something go walking by, and I'll like, oh, okay, let me grab my stuff real quiet, and I'll grab my bow and knock an arrow and then turn the flashlight on them and shoot them real quick. And it's a
I
good
guess
way to get
what probably keeps me from doing that, and call me a sissy if you want to, but it's my big old fear of bears being out there at nighttime.
Right.
I don't do a whole lot of walking around because I don't know how well you are familiar with this area, but we're overpopulated with bears.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, y'all got more bears. Y'all got more bears than we do. We got a bunch.
So I'll usually walk, as far as walking around at nighttime, I'll go about probably 20 yards at the most away from my camp, and that scares the heck out of me. Because when I hear a twig break, I'm like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
I've seen deer come run right by me at nighttime, and that always scares the crap out of me, because it'll sound like a bear's coming or something if they're running through the sticker briars and stuff, and I'll go shining my spotlight like crazy looking, and they'll say deer look like he's running by smiling with his big old green eyes.
Well, I can just about now, and it's it's in the last 10 years living up here and camping up in the national forest a lot, is at backpacking and camping. I can just about tell you what animal it is without turning the light on.
Really?
Just by the way they move and the sound of their footsteps, and I can say, oh, that's a possum, or oh, that's a rabbit, or oh, that's a coon, or oh, but if it's a big animal coming, it always is a little scary. You're just like, oh man, what the heck is that?
I'll tell you what, too, as far as bears go, bears are sneaky. They can tiptoe up on you just like a deer can, and I know this from experience, because I've had them come to my camp before, and the one time I was talking about when 2 bears came up on my camp, I didn't know they were there until they were right up on me. And I was like, how in the world did they get all the way through them woods up to me without me hearing them? And it was one of them was a big bear, and I'm thinking, how does that big old joker be quiet?
Yeah, they're quiet. I can't tell you the times I've been sitting in the deer stand, half asleep on a relatively dry day. Not even when the grounds are wet, and just kind of look out the corner of my eye, and there'll be a bear or a deer or a fox or a coyote or something standing, within 20, 30 yards of me, and I have no idea where it came from or how long it's been standing there. I just look over and be like, oh, dang, there's one right there, he's already on top of me. And that's just in general, that's how them critters are. They like to be quiet and sneak around, and, they just, I don't know.
That's what I love about the Indian ways. If people ever watch or read Indian history, and it's because they made themselves one with nature. They did as the animals did. They sneaked around like the animals did. Everything, they blend in the forest as the animals did. The Indians had it going on. They're the professionals at this stuff. We learn from them.
Well, if you just notice, if you ever do any stalk hunting at all, and so when I go out stalking, I'm out there hunting deer, and I either got a bow or a rifle. But if I'm walking along, if I'm taking a step and stopping, and taking a step and stopping, or I'm walking in a roadbed where it's real quiet and I'm just moving real slow and being as silent as I can, just look off to your sides, and there's squirrels and birds and game all over the place. You know what I mean? And if you're non-disruptive and just kind of sneaking along, you see all kind of stuff like that. But then you pick up a gun and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go squirrel hunting," and it's funny because we don't do that. We just kind of walk around and hope to stumble on one and shoot him. You know what I mean? It's
that's been aggravating me at my campsite. If you noticed on the last videos I've had, like the survival challenge, 5-day survival challenge, and I think this last one I went out on, every time I don't bring my air rifle, turkeys overflood me.
Right.
They come all around me. If I got my air rifle, I won't hear a turkey at all. And then squirrels, too. If I don't have my air rifle with me, I'll see a squirrel. If I got my air rifle with me, I don't see no squirrel.
Yeah.
It's like they know or something.
It is. It's funny. It's just the way you act, It's just the way you're acting. You're acting like a human when you're out there trying to hunt. But if you're just kind of sneaking along, bird watching or something like that, and you're not molesting anything, not making no noise, you know, then there's stuff gonna be all over you all the time. But you know,
Harrison is one young person who's on our show or watches our show every week, and he's into deer hunting. He made the comment that he's almost catching up with me. He hasn't killed a deer yet. Harrison, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Briargoatkilla, then have at it, you know, for the deer. Basically, I think he's covered everything for preparing, and then I'm sure you would suggest anybody who's new to going out deer hunting that they should wear some kind of no scent, something to cover the human smell. Briar?
Yeah, if I'm bow hunting, yeah, I'm a freak about my scent, and that's one thing that a lot of it doesn't get covered on the survivalist channels. You know what I mean? Every animal out there is aware of human scent, every one of them. Some of them it attracts. Some animals are going to come, if you pee on the ground, some animals are going to come to that because it's got salt and minerals and stuff like that. Some animals are going to stay away. But yeah, if you're going to try to deer hunt, especially if you're going to try to deer hunt with a bow and arrow, scent control is just, I mean, you can't be too much of a freak about it. So,
which is more important, scent control or wind direction?
Both.
But which of the two would you prefer if you had to make that decision?
If I didn't have a way, so let me go through my scent regimen first, and I'll kind of get into that. So what I do is before I go out on every hunt, morning and evening, I take a shower, and I carry a Cedar Summit pocket shower with me. I've showed it in my videos. So I take a shower with ivory soap or baking soda or something like that that's going to destroy human odor and not have a lot of residual odor left over on you from the detergent. I wash my whole body, my hair, my armpits. I wash real good with soap and water. And then I use a unscented deodorant. I don't buy the HS Strut or whatever the brand name stuff is. I just use Arm & Hammer, whatever the cheapest unscented deodorant is. I use that. And then I do use the no scent sprays, the scent killer sprays, and I spray my clothes and my gear and my bow, and before I go out to the stand, I spray my hair and completely wet my hair with it. And it really, really works. But if I don't have access to that, then wind direction is going to become paramount. You really got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to the wind either way, because a deer is going to come with the wind in his face no matter what. If you set up on a field with the wind in your face, 9 times out of 10, the deer's going to come from behind you because they want the wind in their face too. You know what I mean?
Right. That's their detection. Their nose, the way it's set up.
Especially, and I know a lot of states don't allow you to hunt over bait, but the Carolinas, it's totally legal. It's a population control method. It's population control hunting here. It's all about killing deer so they don't get overpopulated and they don't die of disease and they don't, they don't cause much damage to the cars on the highways and stuff like that. So it's totally legal to hunt over bait here, especially on a bait pile. I mean, your scent control has got to be number one, and wind direction's got to be number one. If I know the wind direction, and that's why I always have 4 or 5 different stand options in an area that I'm going to be hunting, and each one of them is catered to a specific, or at least 2 will be catered to a specific wind direction, and then 2 more will be catered to a specific wind direction, and 2 more will be catered to a specific wind direction. It's a really big deal, because I mean, you could go out there and sit days and days and days and days and never see a deer and have deer all around you.
Well, they'll just be right there in the area waiting for you to leave because they see you.
Exactly. I even with as careful as I am, and I sneak to the stand, I never ride the quad. You see me riding the quad a lot when I'm doing my preps and stuff like that. But when I go there for a weekend of hunting, I never crank that 4-wheeler up unless I kill a deer. And I go
the gas and everything else in there just carries out.
Well, and just the noise and all that kind of stuff, around on a small piece of property. But man, I sneak around all weekend, and I really control my scent. And I even accessing the hunting area, I keep the wind direction just so I don't have to walk by. If I have to walk around on a road, walk around a drainage, in the mountains, and I feel like the deer's going to be bedding down at that drainage, if any part of that trip going over to that deer stand takes my scent directly into the wind down into that drainage, I don't hunt that stand, But even as careful as I am, my trail cameras, when I go back the next week, there'll be deer on the corn pile when I'm not on the stand every time. You know,
I've got one of those.
They just know it. They know when I'm there, and they know when I'm not there. And as soon as I leave the stand, I can't tell you how many times last year I had deer on my bait station or my food plot within 30 minutes after I left the stand.
I tell you, one of the things I think for the best tool that you can take with you is a chainsaw. Because I can guarantee you fire that sucker up and there's 1,000 deer around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a tractor.
What was that?
Absolutely.
One of my uncles, he goes every year, and he's the opposite of everything that we just spoke of. He just has an old flannel shirt kind of like thing. Sometimes he wears them as old marine clothes that he's got, but he don't really camouflage up very much at all. He also takes a little chair, sets it down, puts a little screen blind up in front of him, and he sits and smokes cigarettes like a freight train. And he has certain areas that he'll go into that area, and he says the first thing is where are the deer coming from? Where do you need to be at? And I'll tell him, I'll get in my tree stands, and I can't even find my clothes half the time because they're so camouflaged. And he'll walk out of there within an hour, boom. And he's walking back to the truck, and I've been there 5 or 6 hours later and haven't seen anything. And his philosophy behind it is, he says, if a man goes in there to kill, he's not going to take anything. If he goes in there to feed himself, he'll have something.
Yeah.
Because when so many people just go out just to put it on the Jeep. And that was another thing. We used to see it back in the 80s, especially. Someone would shoot a deer, and they'd drive that thing and cook it on top of the Jeep or the truck or the car or whatever. You know,
I've done it.
I'm not going to say I haven't because, well, I have. But after he got back out of the service and he came home, he spent more time with me, showing me, and he says, why in the world would you put that thing out on display and cook it? You know, and I was like, man, everybody needs to see what I got. And he said, that's why you get one a year.
Right. No, that's exactly right. My dad's the same way. He doesn't do any scent control, but he's a rifle hunter.
Yeah,
you know, it's different when you grab a bow in your hand and you go out into the woods.
Well,
and you say, I'm gonna harvest an animal with a bow and arrow, and I don't care if it's a stick bow you carve or a $2,000 bow with a freaking mechanical heat seeker sight on it.
Right.
It's still a bow and arrow. And when you grab a bow and arrow and you go out into the woods and you say, I'm gonna make a meal with this bow and arrow, dude, it's a different game. I mean, it's just altogether different. My dad, he don't do any scent control. He kills 15 deer a year. He don't do any scent control whatsoever. He don't even wear camouflage. He wears blue overalls and a freaking t-shirt and an orange hat, and he goes out there with his 30-06 and he shoots one every time he goes.
Tim made a comment there, and it's one of the things that I do with my clothes. I have several that behind this curtain thing here. There's tons of all kinds of hunting stuff, but I take about 2 weeks before the season gets ready to start up, sometimes 3, and I go get those leaves, put them in those unscented bags, and I just put my clothes down there in them, and I leave them in that for 2 weeks. And because that's the area that they're used to smelling, you know, and they're still, a lot of people don't realize the way a nose is set up on a deer, it's right straight into their senses. It's not like ours where we have to suck it up, so they got just a straight sense. So they smell 10 times further than we ever will be able to. And a whole lot cleaner and clearer.
Yep, absolutely. That's a great idea. I've done the pine branches and the cedar, and depending on what kind of forest I'm hunting in, you know what I mean. But yeah, I wash my clothes in baking soda, and then I keep them in a scent-free tote, and I dress out before I go on my hunt. As soon as I get back to camp, first thing I do is I don't even wear my boots around camp, my hunting boots. I leave them off in the edge of the woods, you know, away from camp, stay out of the cigarette ashes and tobacco spit and all that kind of stuff that's there at camp.
That was something else that he taught me. And you'll see it a lot of times, and he said that's one of the killer things. The boots that he wears is the one thing. He wears a rubber boot, but he wears them. They're the big ones that go over his regular shoes.
There you go.
The reason he does that is he says it never fails. He said nobody knows how to put gas in their vehicle at night, and they
Right.
get up starving to death, and they go to the gas station, pump the gas, walk inside, get them a little Debbie or get them whatever,
Yep.
get them some chocolate milk, and then they walk back out, and then they walk in the woods with those same shoes
Yep.
right down the same trail that the deer are on.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he says that's the
Absolutely. But I change my boots. I change my clothes. As soon as I get back to camp, I take my hunting clothes off, put my camp clothes on, take
and
my
put them
hunting
back
boots
in a
off,
tub.
put my Crocs on or whatever kind of sandals. I wear sandals when I'm not wearing boots. But anyway, you know, put my sandals back on. And you know, I'm a real freak about it, and it makes a huge difference. I mean, I say I didn't kill a deer with a bow this past year, but you know, I have killed 6 or 8 deer in a season with a bow before. And this year I saw plenty. When I hunted that private land tract, I mean, I saw deer just about every time I hunted. I just chose not to shoot them. You know what I mean? It's just,
What is your average shot? What is a safe shot for you to actually make as distance-wise?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable out to 40 yards. I'm very, very comfortable out to 40 yards. I've killed a lot of deer at 40 yards. I've killed a lot of deer past that.
What type bow do you use?
I got a bunch of bows. My main hunt. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you were getting to it.
I use a compound bow. I got a bunch. I got 3 different compound bows and 4 different traditional bows. I think I got 7 bows right now. But my main hunting bow is a Matthews. And it's an older one. It's about a 10-year-old bow. I've killed a lot of deer with it, and you know, I'm real good with it, and I feel real comfortable. But I killed one 2 years ago, 47 steps from my tree stand, you know, out in the field. She was real relaxed. It was getting dark. It was a big doe. She had no idea I was in the world. She came out there, you know, and I watched her. She was real calm and not, you know, they're always real spooky and real cautious whenever they first get to a bait station or a food plot.
They got that crooked foot thing.
Yeah, I let her stand out there for about 30 minutes and calm down. And when she was just, you know, had her head down feeding, not paying attention to anything, I stood up and drew my bow and put that 40-yard pin right on her, and I plugged her right through the heart. She ran 50 yards and fell over dead, you know. I mean, 47 steps from my tree stand. So it's all depends, but, I mean, you got to practice that. I'd say for the new bow hunter, you know, you want to be 20 yards max, and you want to really be able to tear that target up at 20 yards, you know. Chuck Adams is my hero, my bow hunter hero. He's a real famous bow hunter, hunts up in Alaska and in the North Country a lot. And his philosophy is 2-inch groups at 20 yards, 3-inch groups at 30 yards, and 4-inch groups at 40 yards. And if you can't repeat that 100% of the time, you don't need to take that shot. You know what I mean? So if you can't shoot a 4-inch group every time, every shot at 40 yards, never take a 40-yard shot on an animal. If you can't shoot a 3-inch group every time at 30 yards, I'm not talking about 2 shots out of 3 or 4 shots out of 5. I'm talking about 5 out of 5 every single time.
Right.
And once you get to that point, then you can consider yourself a 30-yard hunter. And the reason why is because the deer's reaction time is so fast. It's not like shooting targets in your yard. They move. They hear that bow go off. They hear that arrow streaking at them, and they react to it. You know,
you ever heard
literally.
Have you ever heard the sound of an arrow coming towards you? There's videos on it where they actually capture the sound of it.
Yeah,
it is a high-pitched whistling sound.
Yeah, you can hear it many times on my channel. I got a lot of videos where I do target shooting, and you can hear those arrows. I put the camera by the target and stand back and shoot it, and you can hear that arrow streaking towards that target.
Speaking of your target shooting, I love the way you do it, and I've seen a lot of different archers how they shoot, and everybody knows I suck at archery, but I can hit somewhere around the area of a target. But I watched my brother, you know, he's famous for archery. He's been in world competitions and won and all that stuff. Now him, when he shoots, and I've been in a tree stand filming him shooting a deer before, he pulls back and aims, and he takes a pretty long aim. But I watched you when you shoot your targets, you don't have no aim. You pull back and let go, and you hit your target every time.
So to me, a bow is a point and shoot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the compound bows have sights.
Yeah.
So but I'm pretty quick on the draw with it. I try to shoot my compound bow. I use a peep sight, and then I got sight pins out there, so I do have a front and rear sight aperture, you know. But I shoot with both eyes open, just like you would shoot a recurve or a longbow. I shoot with both eyes open, And when I come to full draw, and it's just muscle memory for me because I shot, when I first started archery hunting, I shot so much. I mean, I shoot hundreds of arrows a week. You know, I used to shoot in competitions myself. I was never no champion or nothing like that. But just so many shots, you know what I mean? It's just muscle memory for me. When I hit full draw, my eye is automatically in that peep, and that yardage pin I need to use to hit that target is automatically in the center of that. And I just brace up for just a half a second to make sure I got my, you know, my draw and everything's right and I'm set right. I just brace up for a half a second and I let the arrow go, and I do. And back when I was killing, and I don't do it anymore, but back when I was killing 10, 15 deer in a season, you know, that was one of the things among my buddies was a lot of them would see deer and not be able to get the shot off. If a deer comes within bow range of me and I want to kill him, I don't care if he's on a dead run. I'm going to roll his butt. I'm going to stick an arrow in him anyway. You know what I mean? I'm going to stick an arrow in him anyway. It might not kill him, but hopefully the second one will. But yeah, but now with what you're talking about is when I shoot my traditional bows, I got a lot more arrow shooting videos on my channel when I'm shooting a longbow or a recurve.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is. As soon as I come to full draw, it's like throwing a rock for me. You know, it's like pitching a baseball. You know, you can throw a baseball into somebody's glove 25 yards away, then you can shoot an arrow into somebody's glove at 25 yards away. It's just, but it takes practice to get that, you know, to get that second nature, to where you're just tossing it over there where it needs to go, for sure. But you really shouldn't shoot at game like that, though. To be honest with you, you really should be taking your time and picking out an exact spot on that deer, a tick or a little blemish or something. You know, a lot of people just kind of aim behind the shoulder of the deer and let the arrow fly. And hunters that do that, they end up sticking a lot of deer and not finding them, you know.
Yeah.
But the hunter that kills the deer pretty much every time he shoots at it, he's picking a very small spot on that deer and shooting for that one spot, and that's real important. Because like I said, their reaction time's so fast. They can hear the arrow coming. They can duck out from under. I say, okay, I've killed a deer at 47 yards. All right, well, what I didn't tell you about is the many, many times where I've let an arrow fly at a deer at 40 yards and the deer be 15 yards away from the spot where he was standing when the arrow hits the ground. You know, because he's done run. He done broke and run before that arrow even hits the ground over there. He's 15, 20 yards down the trail already.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that, anyway, it's chess, not checkers, is what I say. It's more to it than, you know, than just target shooting and then going out there and getting a deer in front of you and sticking him. Because it's hard to do.
I know the only shot that I actually ever had at a deer, or the real true shot that I ever took at a deer, was I was hunting in Ocala, Florida. And if you would have seen this shot and saw how I missed it, you'd have probably beat me over the head with a baseball bat. But I watched the deer, and I was kind of newish to hunting at this time. I mean, I'd been around hunters all my life, but hadn't did a whole lot myself because of how my life has been. But I was in Ocala hunting by myself, and I walked down this path to where my tree stand was. And that morning, I brought a bag of green apples with me, and I would cut an apple in half and rub it all over the bottom of my boot. And pretty much rub it on me too, and rub it on trees as I was walking out there, because my brother always told me deers love apples. Well, when I got up in my stand, I watched a 6-point buck. He looked like a dog, how he was sniffing my tracks, walking right up to me. And he got right dead under my stand. I mean, Mike's 5-year-old son could have hit this deer. And I was scared and nervous. Yeah, 6 now. I was scared and nervous, and it seemed like every time I tried to pull my bow back, the deer looked at me, and I'd freeze. And I'd wait till he looked down at the ground again, and I'd pull back a little more, and he'd look at me, and I'd freeze. Well, I was pointing dead at him, and I had no idea that as soon as the deer hears the arrow release, he's going to do what they call jump the fence. Dang near drop to his knees. So I'm aiming, and where I'm aiming, I didn't know that at the time, but when I released the arrow, I saw the arrow. After the deer dropped to his knees, the arrow just went over his back like 1 inch. And I told my brother about that, and he said, well, Alan, it's called jump the fence. He said that when the deer hears the arrow, he's going to squat down to jump.
Yeah. And what they're doing is when the deer takes off and runs, he naturally, the way he gathers his back leg muscles, he's just got a natural drop to that motion. It's like when you're running track and you get set on the starter blocks, they have to kind of set themselves up, and when they wind up their muscles, they gather their haunches to run. They naturally just kind of drop down and then take off, you know.
Yeah.
And I have shot over dozens of deer's backs, and it always makes me feel like an idiot because one of the things with bow hunting that's so hard is to guess whether or not that deer is going to duck. Generally, when I'm hunting public land on national forest and I'm miles back in there and there's not a lot of human contact, generally those deer don't duck at all unless they've made me and they're sitting there checking me out, and then they look away for a second and I draw my bow real quick and shoot at them, then they'll duck. But if they're just bebopping along, not paying attention to anything, generally they don't duck. But on a corn pile or a bait station, anything that's unnatural, they certainly going to duck when they hear that arrow go off. And it's again, like I said, it's knowing how to shoot at them, how to aim at them. And a lot of times it's not always where the deer is, but it's where he's going to be, you know, when the arrow gets to him.
I'm going to pause me for just a second. We got to do that drawing too. And
okay.
If you'll start that, I got to call somebody real quick, Alan.
Okay.
So hold on.
All right. Yeah, I guess
What
we
kind of drawing
need to.
y'all got going on?
He's giving away that Stanley Cup,
Oh, cool.
and he's actually giving away 2 of them. We're having 2 drawings for it so far. He did one for last week and the week before, but we're going to draw for both of them tonight. I've never done this. I'm going to go over here. All y'all who's watching, I got all your names, and I'm going to random.org. And Mike said that a lot of people don't like you to do the first generate, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. On one drawing, we got 7 names, and on the next drawing, we got 4 names. So on the first drawing, I'm gonna generate it 7 times. Whatever it lands on the 7th time, that'll be the winner for the first drawing.
All right.
So here we go. I got 1 through 7 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The winner is number 3, and that will be the Oily Prepper.
The Oily Prepper.
And she is in here right now, so congratulations, Oily Prepper. You did win the Stanley Cup from Mike. I'll go ahead and knock this other one out. This other one's kind of weird. It's only 4 names. So let's see, 1 through 4. I'll tell you what, on this 1 through 4, I'm gonna do it. We'll do it 7 times too. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the winner is number 4, which is Wapsie River Scout. And I don't think he's in here with us tonight.
How about that?
So there you go, Wapsie River.
Here's the 2. They're there, so you get me the name. I've got the Oily Prepper. I know her address and stuff, but if you can find out the other gentleman.
Yeah, I'll shoot him a message after.
Well, how did you come up with the 7 and the 4? Is that people that are in the chat tonight, or how is it working?
No, it's the way the contest went was whoever wanted to be in the contest had to message one of us, and all they had to write is cup.
All they had to write is cup. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
For the Stanley Cup.
How many people are in the chat right now?
Right now, there's
11
right now.
11. All right.
Yeah.
Well, here I'll give away something too, since we're giving away.
All right.
This is for everybody that's in the chat right now. This is a 7-inch Old Hickory butcher knife, brand new in the package.
Wow.
All right. So you can go 1 through 11 and on random.org and just do it one time if you don't mind. So we save
what you'll need to
mama.
What you'll need to do is have each person that's on here that wants to enter put their thing up so we'll know, because we don't have an actual number.
We don't have a number generated for them.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody, just everybody, if you're interested in the Old Hickory butcher knife, just chime in on the chat right now. We'll give it 5 minutes and give everybody a chance to say, yeah, I'd like that. And as they come along, just number them 1, 2, whatever, 3 as they show up, Alan.
All right.
If you can do that. If y'all don't want to do that, let me know. If that's too much.
Oh, we do.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
that's
fine.
cool.
That's great.
These folks will take your stuff too.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been modding these old hickory butcher knives. I got a bunch of them. So here's one that's pretty unmodded, brand new, in the package.
Okay, the Ollie Prepper's in.
All right. He's number one.
She's
Number one.
Weapons machinist.
Awesome.
They're going so fast now, I can't write them down fast enough. Let's see, weapons machinist, JD outside.
All right, that's number 3. JD outside. I'm writing it down too as you call it out.
Harrison Nix.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, where am I? Lumberman. Lumberman, I didn't even know you was here. How you doing, Ed? Lumberman's in. Lumberman 2011 is in.
He's number 5. I won a prize from him one time. I believe I won some coins from him before, so I kind of owe him something anyway. Maybe he'll win.
If anybody, or Tim, here's your haversack all rolled up and oiled. I've just got to. You were going to put a strap on yours, and for anybody that watches this later, these are the other ones that are old that have the. I can get it to open up. I Velcroed this one because she wanted it Velcroed for the extra pocket, but there's a total of 7 of these that are all old and ready to go. I just got to get them in the mail.
All right, Tim's in. That's Ramses Sellet.
Yeah. Hey, just for the record, that is Ramses Silent.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't never know how to pronounce that daggum name.
Y'all butcher that poor guy's name every week.
I don't butcher it. I just call him Tim.
Listen, it's Ramses Silent.
Ramses Silent. Okay.
There you go. He's number 6.
Yeah, number 6, and then I'll forward to the young and Harrison. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Trunk,
yeah, he's paying it forward. All right, that's fine.
That's Trunk Back Jim.
Trunk Back Jim.
Is
Is he's
Nick.
paying it forward or Ramses is paying it forward?
Trunk Back Jim.
Okay, Trunk Back Jim.
Okay,
All
and
right.
he's number 7.
7.
Let's see. Lumberman, Nick Harlan. Hey, Nick, are you in the contest? I see you just showed up. Nick Harlan's here, Mike.
I see him. I'm a little bit ahead of you.
All right.
We're trying to put together a drawing, Nick, for a brand new, still in the package, old hickory 7-inch butcher knife. It's my favorite knife. I always use butcher knives in the field, or not always, but I use them a pretty dang good bit. And actually, before YouTube, that's pretty much all I ever used. Now they've made a knife whore out of me.
You ever made them out of saw blades?
No, I haven't.
You ever see those long blades that people get? You can buy them that they were the crosscut, but they're the thin ones.
Oh,
I pick those things up all the time. These are 2 here. I'm going to give one of these here away to a friend of mine, and then I'm going to give the other one to Caden. But these things, I was amazed at how well they sharpen up.
Yeah.
I mean, it just.
Yeah, my neighbor makes them. He makes them out of saw blades. He makes them out of, I can't remember what kind of saw blades they are, but they're real thin saw blades, like circle saw blades almost. You know what I mean? Anyway,
these are the
3 knives out of them. Yeah, yeah.
But I've got about 100 knives out there in the shed that I've made. Some of them I sell, some of them I give away, some of them they didn't turn out the way I wanted them to, and they'll just be turned into something else another day.
Well, I just been taking these butcher knives. I got a 1x30 grinder, you know, and a side grinder, you know, with a cutting wheel on it, and I've been cutting them out, cutting the shapes out of them, and I always cut them a little long, and then file down the part that's burnt blue, you know, so not to ruin the temper, and then regrinding them and making little bushcraft knives and hunting knives. I got a gut hook skinner that I made, and I made a bunch of bushcraft knives and gave them away. I made this one not too long ago. This is a Nesmic.
That's what I've started to make one of them.
Yeah.
Pretty much that same thing, and
Yep.
I've just never. I got one of them that's not quite as curved.
Yeah.
But
well, this was the old hickory buffalo skinner. It's the curved. It was a big curved knife, you know.
yeah.
And then I just drew out my Nesmic pattern on it. And
Now, do you take
anyway.
the scales off of it and then do it, or do you just kind of grind it into the shape and not heat treat it or anything?
I grind it into the shape, not heat treat or anything, because I got my own opinions about knives, but I
Right.
like to be able to sharpen that knife easy. You know, I got all kind of knives made out of all kind of steel, and I'm a afternoon skinning deer with it. It's gonna be dull. I don't care what it's made of.
Right.
And if I can sharpen it back in 5 minutes, that's all the better for me. You know, so
The quicker the better.
yeah. I mean, I got some S30V knives, and I got all kind of steel up in here. But you know, I like the ones that I can carry my little pocket stone, my little Smith's Arkansas stone, and I can spit on that sucker, and I can have it shaved and sharpened in 5 minutes. That's what I like.
Most of those that watch my shows or channels or anything, I'm a big fan of the Sodbuster Junior. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other knives that are just as well as that. Some of the old timers that I have are still good. But that thing there, every time that I trap, that's all I use for skinning. And
Yeah.
But it's my go-to for everything.
I can't tell you how many deer I've cleaned with a Sodbuster. And I got mine's a full size one. I got a Sodbuster Junior too, and I've showed I've showed one of those in videos many times. But I got a full size Sodbuster, and that's a good hunting knife.
I carve spoons out with it. I do all kinds of stuff with it. But the reason I like it is because it's just there. It's in your pocket. I mean, boom,
Right.
It's quick, it's simple, and easy.
But I got this one for Christmas. This was my Christmas present from my wife and kids. I finally got a Bark River, and it's a Nesmic, sort of a Nesmic style knife too. Anyway,
It's funny that we're kind of on the subject of Nesmic because I told Alan I was going to talk about this.
mm-hmm.
I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, I got that Woodcraft book, and
Right.
I just ordered a used one off of Amazon, I think. But inside of it, I found something that was kind of unique. It was a letter that was written to the guy that was given the book, and inside of it, it said, "Fred, here's the book I promised to get you. I sent one to Dan also. Consider it a gift from a fellow member of the Dead River Society." And his name was Bob, I guess. But it says, "P.S. I picked one up at Fort." I'm thinking that's Lagoon. His handwriting's worse than mine. But on his way to Fort Necessity. And it says, "Met a real nice fellow in Fort Chartres named John Hammond, an older feller, but interesting and fun to talk with. He speaks highly of you and enjoys your trip journals to the utmost. I have tried to figure out," I went to that Dead River Society and asked around if anybody knew to give them the letter back or whatever, but apparently one person responded back and said it sounded like a gentleman they knew that passed away about 3 years ago.
I'll be darned.
And I'm betting you anything, that's probably how the book got, the family or the kids didn't know what it was and just, boxed it up and gave it away.
Right. I'll be darned. That's something, man. That's a piece of history right there.
Well, I keep it inside of it, and I figure one day I'll give it to Caden and he can go find them.
Yeah. There you go. Anybody else chime in, want to enter in the drawing?
Yeah, we got number 8 is Gene Smith,
Okay.
and number 9 is Nick Harlan.
Okay. Gene Smith, Nick Harlan. All right.
And so far, Cole, I don't know if you were saying yeah you want in or no you don't. Cole said, knife drawing. I just came in to listen and hear what the good old boys have to say.
If you're in the chat room right now and you want a chance to win the Old Hickory, just say I'm in or whatever. And let's just give it. I know you guys have got a time schedule here. Let's just give it let's say 1 more minute from right now.
And Weapons Machinist says, nice knife, Briar.
Cool. It might be yours.
Mike Landreth is
Hey,
here.
Mike Landreth.
Hey, Mike.
Papa Smurf.
How do you, excuse me, how do you put that little thumbs up you just did, Ollie?
You see that little smiley face right where you type in at?
Oh, okay.
How's that one for you?
I don't see nothing yet.
Huh?
Oh, now I see it. Send a picture of you. We're going to be signing off in a minute, y'all. If you have any more questions for Briargoatkilla about deer hunting or whatever we've been talking about, put it in now. And something Mike and I was talking about, we don't like this doing this thing on YouTube as good as we did like doing it on Google Plus, and we're not big Google Plus fans either, but it seems like a lot less hassle to send out invitations and stuff the way we did it on Google Plus.
Did anybody actually get a invitation to it to see it? Because the way it looks like it's not sending it out like it does with Google Plus. But I had somebody respond back that they weren't coming just 5 minutes ago.
And on Google Plus, they got the Q&A. When we was doing it on Google Plus, a lot of people were saying, "Where's the side chat?" You know, they don't see the side chat. But I don't see why people can't communicate through the Q&A just as they can on this side chat, because you're still putting in comments to the Q&A thing.
But I'm not sure if they can read the comments.
Yeah, remember I asked them that one time. Yeah, I asked them one time, and they said they could see it. I think it was Harrison that said, yeah, they could see it. But so I'm not sure where this will be next week. It'll either be here or Google Plus. We'll see. But I mean, if y'all must have it here on YouTube, then I guess that's fine with us. But it's a lot more hassle doing it this way than it is on Google Plus.
I think when you host the Google Plus chat and you go live, though, it appears live on your YouTube channel automatically, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah, it just don't have this little side chat bar. Like if you go if you go to his where it's playing at right now live, it has a side chat bar just for people to be in a chat room together. You know, it's like a chat room for all the viewers to talk while we're talking, basically. But I don't see why that can't be done on the Q&A. It's just as easy.
Yeah. All right. So I just threw a comment in the chat on the YouTube, and you just click that link right there, and whoever wins and get in touch with me and give me your address, and I'll send this knife off to you. And I can sharpen it for you. These knives need to be sharpened. They're like butter knives. I can sharpen it for you, but if you want to sharpen it yourself, just let me know. Whatever you want.
And trust me, Briar will sharpen the heck out of that knife where it'll shave your whole body.
Yeah.
If you've watched any of his knife sharpening videos.
He sharpened my last one for my head.
Nobody's won yet, weapons. We're still waiting. See if anybody else wants to. All right, here we go to random.org, and we have 9 entries. Yep. Let me make sure ain't nobody else in. All right, here we go. 9 entries, 1 through 9. And how many times did you say generate it, Briar?
Just one.
Just one generate. Here we go. And the winner is number 3.
JD Outside.
Boy, ain't that a lucky guy. He wins everything.
His mother won one.
JD Outside. JD Outside, does he have any comments in the chat?
Yeah, he's in there somewhere if he hadn't signed out yet.
I see him. So JD Outside, I'll sub you and I'll throw you a I'm on your channel right now, so I'll send you a PM with my information, and you can send back with yours and let me know. We'll just let each other know through PM what needs to happen to get this knife to you. And I assume he's an adult. He doesn't need a parent's permission or anything for a knife.
He'll need his parents' permission.
Yeah.
Will he? Okay.
Yeah,
all
his
right.
mother.
We'll need to work that out too, JD. So you can just I don't even mind giving you my phone number, or you give me yours, and I'll call y'all or whatever we need to do. As long as she's okay with it, I'm okay with it. So.
He just put yay. His mother supports everything that he does too, so I'm sure she won't have a problem with it.
Okay.
But JD, he will have to have your mother's permission, I believe. So, like he said, contact him, or he'll contact you through phone numbers or however y'all want to do it. But he's going to need your mother's permission to send you that knife And congratulations, you are one lucky devil. You always winning stuff. I like the way you win stuff.
I'm typing him out a PM right now.
He won Kelly Kettle I gave away. He actually won, what was that, the Good Samaritan?
JD said his mom is watching with him, or she watches with him.
Okay. You watching right now?
Congratulations, too, by the way, man.
Yeah, congrats, brother. Awesome.
Uh-oh, I see Tim's a former MySpace guy.
Where are you seeing that at?
Nobody, that Congo Rats is a MySpace thing.
All right, Mike, it's your show tonight, so I'll leave it up to you when you're going to end it and how to end it.
However, y'all, I mean, if y'all want to stay up a little bit longer with it, you can. I just want to thank Neil or Brian, whichever one he's going by.
Either one.
Yeah. For stopping by tonight, and then cool giveaway as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Kind of cool. We kind of got off subject. I had a whole bunch of things I want to talk about, but it's only an hour, you know. I mean, you gotta talk about what pops up there, you know. Y'all got just as much interesting stuff to talk about as I do. So
one of the things, we get another opportunity, we'll get you to come back with us. And Alan and I, we both talked about it. My work and his time of doing some of the hobbies that he's getting done, the work that he's doing with it, it's been kind of hard for us to come up with certain topics. But maybe on the next one there, we'll get all three get together before, come up with some topics that, you know, because I think, you know, all of it goes hand in hand, you know, whether it's bushcraft, survival, hunting, which, you know, you do both of those, or all three of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have anybody picked out yet for a guest star for next week. So if you want to come on next week, I'll go ahead and put you in on the agenda for next week too.
Well, we'll just see how it goes, and I don't want to wear out my welcome, that's for sure. I just, you know, like today, I worked 13 hours today.
Yeah.
So,
I know the feeling. I went in this morning at 5 and got out of there at 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you do?
I'm a grocery store manager.
Awesome, man. That's
No,
a good
it's not.
job, dude. Yeah,
It used to be.
Yeah.
I wanted a relaxed job. I worked for a company for 17 years, running regions and districts and everything, and I said, I'm tired of this. I want something simple to spend time with my son, Caden.
Right.
One thing I can tell you, from when you're 16 and working at a grocery store, it's all good. When you're 46 and you're running around in a grocery store, it's not all good anymore because you never sit down. And if it is, it's just to type in something, to fix something for somebody, and then off to find something else that's not working right.
Yeah, I can only imagine. One of the guys that helped me on a carpenter crew that I ran years ago, he was an ex-grocery store manager, and he talked about it all the time.
Whew.
And he loved that job. You know, he always talked about it. Oh, when I was with Winn-Dixie, you know.
Yeah. But that was funny because that's where I was a produce manager for Winn-Dixie for about a year and a half. And the first thing Winn-Dixie does in their produce is they want you to sample everything that comes in and make sure that it's got a freshness. And when I first started there, I said, shoot, yeah, I'll do that. We had cherries that came in. Oh, I ate a whole tub of them things. And, boy, that was the worst thing in the world I could have ever done. It like to have killed me that next morning.
Oh, Lord. Speaking of that, I had one of them new jalapeno chicken sandwiches from Wendy's the other day. Do not eat that son of a bitch. That thing tore me up, buddy. My butt's still sore.
I'm not going to stay on after we close off. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, Mike. But if Mike wants to hang out, that's cool. I'd normally hang out.
I got to be up at 4 in the morning, which is 5 hours from now.
Yeah, normally I would hang out, and we probably will on next week's show. But I've got a project that's behind, and if I don't get it out soon, like tonight, I need to be done with it.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and sign off then. I really enjoyed it, and young man JD outside, you be sure, and I already sent you a PM. You can also contact me at Briargoatkilla, all one word. Killa is spelled Killa, Briargoatkilla@gmail.com, or just click on where I made the comment in the comment section here on the YouTube, and let me know something. I'll be sure to get that knife out to you as quick as I can.
And Briar, we really appreciate you showing up and appreciate the giveaway. That was an awesome surprise.
All right. Well, we'll do it again sometime, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
All right,
Thanks.
you too.
Have a good one.
And everybody else, I'm signing off too. So we will see y'all next week. And thank everybody for being here.
Definitely thank everybody for coming by and stopping in with us. And I'm going to kill this thing out just as soon as you log out. And we'll catch you next week on Alan's channel.
All right, I'm out.
Have a good one.